Hey guys, welcome to the Anywhere Podcast. This is Arch, episode 4. Today we've got Jacob Heppner here. He's a CrossFit athlete, 7th fittest man in 2018, 6th fittest man in 2019. Who knows, maybe even fittest man alive in 2021. He's here to talk a lot with us today, also about some CrossFit technology and a little bit about himself as well. So Jake, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hey, I'm glad you actually left out my 12th place finish this year because I don't want to talk about it.
We don't need that. Yeah, absolutely not. Jake, just tell us kind of, I know you've been doing CrossFit for a while now. How did you get into it in the first place?
Yeah, so I originally found it up at Fort Leavenworth. So I had a degree, my bachelor's degree is in mathematics, and got an internship at Fort Leavenworth working for the Army as a civilian. And I still have one more year of collegiate football left. And so during the summer of my internship going into my senior year, I was still out there training for football, working out, doing football workouts. And so the people that I work with started noticing that and saying, hey, I see you work out. To be honest, the people I worked with, usually in a science or technology or math-based field, people usually aren't very in shape. They like their Mountain Dew more than they like doing mountain climbers. Quote that. That should be a great quote. Boom. Anyways, so one morning, one guy goes, hey, I know you work out, Jacob. How would you like to come do this thing called CrossFit with me? And I really respected the guy, really liked him. And I was like, okay, I'm thinking he's taking me to a Zumba class. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, I'll come. What time is it tomorrow? And he goes, oh, it's at 5 a.m. Oh. I should have asked before, hey, what time is it? And then maybe I'll say yes or no. But yeah, that was it. I woke up that morning, went to the local gym, which was on Fort Leavenworth's post, Army installation, and walked in there. Had no idea what it was. Didn't do any research before going up. I just showed up, just winged it, and I didn't understand the concept that it was for time. I was used to, I'm doing 5x5 back squat or 5x5 jerks for football. I wasn't necessarily used to, hey, we're going to do toes to bar and rowing and you need to go as fast as you can. I remember getting yelled at go faster. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm getting yelled at for.
What is going faster?
Exactly. Why am I doing this? But yeah, I was hooked. First workout, I was like, man, this is really cool. I enjoyed the camaraderie of it. And at that time I had been looking for some kind of competitive outlet for myself. I had one more year left in football and I'm like, I'm going to get a full-time job after this. I need to find something to do. I don't want to do, intramural sports per se. I needed to find something to compete in and luckily that was it. So. Okay.
And what year was that?
2012.
2012. Okay. So you've been in about 8 years now.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. It seems like I know a lot of people come from that athlete or sports background and then kind of jump into CrossFit from there because it kind of satisfies that, I guess, like you were talking about, that competitive itch.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. Most people do. Yeah. I mean, Froning was a baseball player. A lot of us came from some collegiate background. Some of us were more athletic than others. Right. A lot of us weren't super athletic. We found fitness and we're like, I'm good at this.
Yeah. Good at working out.
Yeah.
Now you're with CrossFit team Cobra Command, right?
Yep. So that's the affiliate I go to.
Okay. Correct. And how long you been there?
5 years. 5 years.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha. And then with COVID-19, you guys still kind of up? What's that looking like now?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, probably the question, where do you live at right now, Archie?
I'm in Minnesota.
Minnesota. Okay. Yeah. So it's probably a little bit different there than for us. Dude, in the Midwest, I mean, unless you're in Colorado, COVID-19 exists, but it's not like it's small businesses are open. Everything's pretty much very normal. I think we were closed. Unfortunately, we were closed for the gym shut down for about a month, I think, at most. And, you talk to gyms in California or New York or other states and some of them are still closed.
Yeah.
Or closed indefinitely. So we were luckily only closed for a little bit of time. Once we opened up, there were, of course, we have to follow certain rules, and that's for the safety of our constituents that show up to the gym. We're taking temperatures, spacing out in between each other. But when it comes to driving around, people are wearing masks in businesses, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But other than that, it's business as normal pretty much.
That's nice, man. It's like we closed down everything in March. We went into lockdown, and then gradually we opened back up, and now we're back in lockdown. So this is the second time that our gyms have closed back down. They're saying maybe like around Christmas, but we'll see.
I imagine that most gyms are probably going to be closed till, flu season extends past Christmas. It's not like people seem to think that, once I flip that calendar and January 1st hits, it's going to be wonderful.
Right.
It's going to be the same.
Yeah.
So I imagine 2021 in the beginning, the first quarter is probably going to look very similar to 2020.
Yeah.
At least we're used to it.
Yeah, right. And kind of speaking of 2021, obviously I'm sure you're hoping the CrossFit Games go back to a more normal sort of, routine or whatever. As far as kind of the new ownership and everything going on there, what are you feeling about that?
Yeah, your first statement, I don't think 2021 will be any different than 2020. Okay. I think it's going to be the same. Yeah, because a blessing and a curse. A blessing is CrossFit is worldwide, which is a huge blessing. Curse is every state and every country and every province approaches COVID-19 in a different way. Kansas, we're going to be completely different than Italy. We got different demographics. We got different leadership. So I'm betting that the 2021 season, I think they've lesson learned. They've learned something from 2020. They took 5, males, 5 females. And I think at the end of the games, they actually made the statement that they learned a lot. And so they learned how to approach 2021 in a better way. That way they could have more athletes. Okay. Does that mean everyone can go? I still doubt it. I still think it's going to be like, hey, we're going to take 15 now, which is fine. Like they're working with the best they can do right now. But I think 2021 is going to be the same as 2020. If you think about it, think about the Open. The Open's going to be here, before you know it. And if most gyms aren't open, how are people going to do the Open? It might be like the Dubai Sanctional where it's going to be like, hey, you need 1 dumbbell, 1 jump rope, and a place to do burpees, which is fine. We can all do that. Or they're going to have to push the Open back. They're going to have to shift it back to March or April, and then everything gets shifted back. And I think it's just going to be the same as last year, to be honest.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good point. I didn't even think about that as far as some people have access to the gyms and some won't. So how will you do the Open? Wow. Well.
Yeah. No, they're not. They're just not. They're going to have to shift it back, which if you shift it back, it creates its own problems. Or they're just going to do like the Dubai one and be like very minimal equipment, which we all know of one buddy who has a 50-pound dumbbell. We can all share it and figure it out and do the Open together, which I think could still be really cool. It still would show the luster and our community banding together. Even if we just had to jump up on a dumbbell, it's still really cool to do something.
Yeah. And I know that would be kind of nice for you. I know you've mentioned in the past that kind of one of your weaknesses is those heavy barbell lifts. So then you get that just snipped out.
Yeah. Yeah. They actually did say though, the Open won't be a qualification for the games. So I think the Open is going to be a seeding for sanctionals. They're going to use it to seed. So they're going to say, hey, Jake, or hey, Archie, you placed 20th overall in your area geographical location. They're going to kind of bend by. And then they're going to give you a certain bid to go to a specific sanctional. So they might say, hey, you placed 20th, therefore the Granite Games is a close sanctional to you. You've got the 5th slot if you so choose to take it to go to the Granite Games if 4 other people don't take it. I don't know, something like that.
Gotcha. And you looking forward to that, or
Yeah. In my mind, 2021 Games was awesome. It was different, right? You got done with the workout. I placed 12th, and you're like, okay, I'm done, and I'm home, so I don't have to travel. It's kind of nice.
Okay.
And I think overall, it was a huge blessing that we at least did that. I'm glad we did something, and obviously they had to flex to be able to meet certain situations like that. But it would be great to go back and do the 2019 games. Let's do it in person. Let's hang out with the guys. A lot of us guys hang out with each other once a year, and we really enjoy it. Right. And not being able to see them for a whole extra year kind of sucks. Yeah,
I feel you there. Well, Jake, I know obviously the reason you're on my podcast today is not just to see my face. So let's talk about some of the things that you're doing as far as technology with CrossFit and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I think what I'm looking forward to, and I'll speak generally first, I think what I look forward to is I think you're going to see a shift in dynamic in a lot of CrossFit Games athletes. And let me clarify that. I think when we look at CrossFitters in general, when you approach their demeanor, how they approach things, on average, most of us who do CrossFit, I'm not saying just athletes. I'm not saying, well, we're all athletes. I'm not saying just CrossFit Games athletes. I'm saying your local weekend warrior, someone who just goes to classes. A lot of us are really good at time management, and we do CrossFit because we like it for a specific reason, right? If you get in, you get out. I'm not running 10 miles and thinking I'm getting a good workout. I'm going to go in and do Fran in, 3 to 10 minutes, and that's my workout. And so we really value time management. And I'm actually really excited for the future because I think a lot of people, the CrossFit's coming up on like its 10-year mark. It's been around for a while. People are starting seeing the gaps in the sport and how they can fit into those gaps and how their passions lie in it. And so not only just general people, but I think you're going to see a lot of CrossFit Games athletes who have a passion in the sport, who know how to manage time, have a passion in the sport, know what they want to do, and are driven, are going to start rotating away from necessarily competing and rotating more into okay, how can I give back to this sport? What do I have to offer the sport? More than just, hey, I have an online programming company or I have an online nutrition company, or, you can buy my commission code and get some sponsor, it's a product.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of athletes, hopefully, it's what I'm hoping, see a lot of them realize, okay, I'm done competing. I'm thinking now, how can I give back to the sport that's given so much in me? I think you're going to start seeing that more, which I'm excited for.
Mm-hmm. And so I guess what does that look like for you personally? So, I mean, you're 30 right now?
How old are you? I'm 30.
I'm 25.
Oh, you're so young. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I'm not getting any younger in the sport. I know 30 isn't necessarily the cap inside our bin. Obviously masters keep going forever. Forever. People can be insulted. Forever. What do you mean by that, Jacob? But yeah, I've still got some time in the sport, of course. But yeah, I think from my perspective, there's a mind shift. There's a shift that every athlete has to take that I've started personally taking over the past year or so. And that shift is when you're done competing, and I think you see this in every sport, whether it's football or any professional sport out there, when you're nearing the end and you're thinking more about, okay, what am I going to do next? Mm-hmm. You don't want to just leave the sport. You don't want to be forced out of the sport. You want to give back to the sport and stay involved in the sport, assuming you love it, that you love it. Some people might be like, you know what? I have a career outside of the sport. I'm going to go do that. I don't really care about, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But when I look at it, I think to myself, man, this sport has given me friends, it's given me relationships, it's given me opportunities to meet new people that I never would have met, talk to new people, travel the world, sleep on people's couches, all sorts of things. Why it would behoove me not to approach it and say, okay, how do I stay invested in the sport that's given me so much, and how do I give back to the people that have given me so much? And so that's kind of the mind shift change that I've received over the last year or so. Okay. And so now it's okay. I like my personality is I like to be in charge. I like to lead. I like to be a leader, and I think I've done that. When I was a kid, when I hung out with a bunch of older kids, I still led that group regardless of age. And I think that's been a personality trait I've had. And I'm not saying, okay, well, now I've got to lead CrossFit. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, move over.
I like to take those characteristics, and I want to run companies. I want to do things. I want to, for lack of better terms, make money moves. I want to have a good time. And so now the mindset has changed to, okay, how do I stay invested in the sport when I decide to step out of the sport? Mm-hmm. And that's the change now. And so, of course, this year has presented me multiple opportunities that we'll talk about to create things that I think people in the sport need and will use regardless of the pandemic or not.
Okay. Now, as far as knowing your career is going to start winding down at some point, are you just kind of listening to your body? Do you have a benchmark?
No, you know what? I haven't. It's my wife and I have started discussing it. That'll be something we'll kind of figure out, and then kind of the next step will be, let's say, that's tomorrow. Let's say I'm like, you know what, I'm done tomorrow. It'll be a conversation first. My wife and I'll have tonight, and then it will be okay. How do you mitigate this? When I say mitigate, what I really want to get at is you don't just want to step out. You want to step into something. And I want to step into something that I can give back to the sport and still keeps me involved in the sport in such a way that I can still keep companies that can band around me. Now, most companies that I'm working with, all the companies I'm working with, are not working with me because I stand on top of the podium, because I haven't yet.
Right.
And they're not working with me because I compete out there in the main field, because when you compete, you can't take or wear or drink or eat that product out there on the field. They sponsor you and they work with you because you are a brand and what you represent. And what I hope I represent is something that continues past me stepping out on a floor, competing at the 3-2-1 mark.
Okay. So. Now, as far as you mentioned, kind of like that leadership role that you'd like to step into, what are you thinking?
Honestly, so I've always loved it, and I actually would like to commentate in the sport. That's one thing.
That would be so cool.
Yeah, I would really like that. I mean, I never probably would have thought that. So, like years ago, someone was like, "You should start a YouTube channel," and I was like, I literally at that time, this was like 3 years ago, I thought to myself, YouTube is like the place you go to like look up how to fix a leaky faucet. Like, what? Why does someone want to watch me fix a leaky faucet? And I kept getting people saying that. And so I was like, you know what? I'll just buy a freaking cheap camera and just try it, whatever. And really fell in love with just the creative aspect and being able to just share the realness and the rawness of a professional athlete's life. And so stepping into that and then being able to film myself and then commentate my workouts really showed me, hey, I really enjoy this aspect of it. And I think going forward, whenever I decide to be done competing, that's something I want to step into. And I think it would help the sport out. I mean, we have a lot of guys that commentate in the sport that have, that do CrossFit, which, you have to. But at the same time, we don't have that many commentators that have competed at a high level, which I'm not putting them down. They also do a wonderful job. But I think it's also beneficial to be like, hey, I can sit out there on a desk. I could talk to you about the guys competing out there because, number one, I know them. They probably slept in my house at one point, or I've been in their house or on their couch. And number two, I've competed next to them and they probably beat me. And so I can talk to them about that and approach the situation because, hey, this workout we're doing on the field right now, I've done. And I'll tell you how I did it and how I'd fix it. And so, yeah, that's something I'd like to step into. And that keeps me involved in the sport. It allows me to give back to people listening. And from their mind, maybe they're used to hearing my ugly Southern drawl voice. I don't know.
Are you from Kansas originally?
No, I'm from the terrible state of California.
Oh, you're from Cali.
Yeah. So that's when you always hear me making fun of California. It's because I've been there and I lived there. So I was born and raised. I lived there for like 16 years.
Okay. What part?
Central California, San Joaquin Valley.
Okay.
Yeah. So did you live there at one point in your life?
No, I don't want to go to Cali. So I understand.
So I grew up in an ag area, an agricultural area, no different than where I'm at now. Obviously, I grew up farming and 4-H and raising cows and pigs, and then we moved out to Missouri when I was in high school, and then just never left the Kansas, Missouri kind of area since. It's slower, cheaper, people are nicer, and it's nice. I like it.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I've got an old roommate who's from LA, and just he likes that area, but every other part of California hates San Fran, and you know what I mean. It's just a lot going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Now, let me ask you this, because for my podcast here, I really like to, when I'm interviewing athletes and stuff, get something kind of relatable for people who are listening. And a lot of the people who listen, maybe they played sports in college, or maybe they've just now graduated, things like that. What's your advice to people who are, maybe they're graduating college, or maybe they're realizing that their athletic career is also coming to an end and wanting to stay involved, but they don't know what they're what they're going to do.
Yeah, I know. Me personally, I'll tell my story. So when I got done, I played collegiate football, and I was terrible at it. I was
What position?
I was a strong safety outside linebacker.
Okay.
I'm easily, hands down, smartest guy on the team. I could tell you the whole playbook, could tell you as much as the coach could, but I just couldn't physically accomplish the task like some guys on the team could. I definitely was there to improve the team GPA. Okay. But when I got done with it, I decided, and don't get me wrong, I loved football. Will love it to the day I die. But I decided, you know what? From here on out, I am not going to spend my time doing things that, number one, I'm not good at, that I can't see myself getting better at, and two, that I think is a waste of my time. I don't think football was a waste of my time. But in college, I realized I'm never going to start, but I'm going to tough this out for the next 4 years because I can, or 2 years, whatever the case may be. And so when I found CrossFit and quickly realized this is something I can be good at, I lashed onto that. And there was other opportunities for different sports to try things, but I wasn't good at them. And I decided, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time doing that, doing this, doing that. This is something I'm already somewhat decent at. I can see myself going somewhere with this. I like this. I'm going to do this. And I think that was kind of the approach and mindset I took to it was, you know, find something you're good at and then just go all in, or as much as you can.
Yeah. Very cool. Now, was there a point, like a specific point when you were like, okay, I can really start to push forward for this and maybe be really, really good, if not elite? Or was it just, I love this so much, I just want to keep doing it?
Yeah. The first day I found it, I got done with my first class, and the guy who was like leading the class pulled me aside after. He's like, hey, you know, welcome to the gym. That sucked. And he's like, hey, why don't he goes, do me a favor. I think you'd be pretty decent at this. Why don't you do me a solid? He goes, when you go back to your desk today, go back and research the CrossFit Games. And I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, okay, whatever. And so I went back and Googled it, and that was 2012. And I found out that you could compete at this thing. And it wasn't just like that. They were at that point having the games in LA, in Carson. And at that point, I realized this isn't just like a backyard touch football game. Like, there is not substantial, but there was money at the time, and there are people going and watching this. Like, I can do this. And I vividly remember within a week, I called my best friend at the time up, and I said, hey, I think I would like to go to the CrossFit Games. I think I can do this. I think it's going to take a couple years, but I think I can pull this out and do this. And at the time, that was my now wife. I told her that. And then fast forward 2 years, and I qualified for my rookie year at the games in 2014.
Okay. Wow. So that's pretty, I love that, because, you know, there's a lot of people who kind of, I've seen go into CrossFit who are like, I want to do the CrossFit Games, you know, but then they'll burn out a couple weeks into it. So it's really cool that, you know, you saw it and you were able to kind of make it happen.
I mean, I think it just takes, like, from that perspective, like, what it really takes is people will come in and say that, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. A lot of people will put people down and say, oh, I got another person who wants to go to the CrossFit Games. And that's their goal, and that's fine, and you can't judge them for their goal, but what it really takes is just a lot of sacrifice. Like, I was already a pretty driven person, and wanted to be the best at what I did no matter what it was. And I already went through a couple of years of football where I wasn't going to accomplish that. And so finding something that I knew I could be decent at and good at from the get-go was very relieving, and like a breath of fresh air kind of concept.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned you were working with some different companies kind of in as far as sponsors and stuff. Who are you working with?
Yeah, so you're talking about like companies, or talking about companies that sponsor me, like companies I own, or
companies you own.
Yeah, so I currently own 5 completely separate companies, and they all kind of intermingle to a degree. The first one that I created was Grit. That is my programming company. It's the programming I do. And then we also have pulled in a lot of coaches. I wanted to create a platform where coaches that are relatively unknown but do a good job could present programming and use my platform to help them out. you quickly realize that just because someone has the most Instagram followers as a coach doesn't necessarily mean they're the best coach.
Right.
They just have the most notoriety. Maybe they work with a really top tier athlete, or maybe they have a good personality. But sometimes the most relatively unknown coaches that don't have an Instagram or have 57 followers are the best coaches, but they just don't have the savvy or the wherewithal to go out there and present their programming or their knowledge or what they have. And so I created Grit, and Grit was based off my programming. But then we've also started reaching into other areas and broaching out of the fitness space. And we're pulling in a swimming coach. We pulled in a physique coach, a bodybuilding coach. We pulled in just coaches from all different areas that are outside CrossFit, because they're good fitness areas that I think CrossFitters can benefit from. But they're coaches that are good, but just relatively unknown. And so that's Grit. The other company I created in late 2019 is Functional Eating. And that's just a nutrition company. That's a company that we had inside of our gym, Cobra Command CrossFit, which is my affiliate. They had a really good nutrition programming and great coaches, but it was just in-house. It was just members in the gym. And we came up with the idea of, okay, what if we partnered up and I presented you the platform to get outside of these four walls, and you still pitch the same product. It's a great product. And that's essentially what Functional Eating is. That was the birth of it, and it's done very well. We have 4 or 5 on full-time online coaches, and we've done extremely well for being open for like 7 months, pretty much. So those are my 2 service-based companies. Do you want to talk about those at all? Or you want to keep going?
I'd love to talk about them. As far as the Functional Eating, is that more so like a macro counting tool, or is it giving you meal suggestions, things like that?
It can be both. Yeah. So the difference that there are a lot of good nutrition programs out there, awesome companies out there. And so I'm just one of the many good solutions out there. But what we really focus on for our company, which I really liked and we decided to really jump in full force, was the relational aspect of it. You could sign up for a nutrition program, and not to dog anyone, you could sign up for a nutrition program out there, and they might email you once a month or once a week or text you through an app. And that's great. And sometimes that's what people want. I know from my perspective, I don't really like being bugged a lot. And so I would honestly prefer something like that. But a lot of people out there that are trying to work on their diet and nutrition and fix certain things, they really like that accountability partner, that relational aspect behind it. And that's what we create around Functional Eating, is we have coaches that message you every day on the app, or less if you want to, and they call you on the phone and talk to you once a week, once every 2 weeks, because they need someone to hear that voice. They want to know, hey, this person legitimately cares about me. They don't just care that I'm paying, that my credit card hasn't declined. They actually legitimately care about my well-being. And so the idea is, we can do anything you want. Like if you just want macros, if you just want the numbers, we can do that for you. I know from my personal perspective, I don't do well, even though I'm a math guy, I don't do well with the macro count. I actually would like to be told, here's what you need to eat. I'm a guy of routine. And so I like to be told, this is what you're going to eat every day. Go forth and prosper. And that's what I prefer. And that's what they do for me. And so we present a bunch of different solutions for, people are different. Some people have kids at home and they don't have time to measure the rice out. They just want to know, hey, I'm eating within the certain means here. And so,
Very cool. Before we jump into the other companies,
sure.
I know you're a dog dad.
Yeah.
You got a Corgi. Let's talk about him for a second.
Yeah. He's at home right now, but we got Winston. So Kelly, my wife, I had dogs growing up. Kelly did not. My wife did not. And when we bought our house that we actually recently just sold, like 4 days ago.
Wow, congrats.
There was a dog that came with the house. Her name was Daisy. Okay, so people probably think that's pretty weird, but out in a rural area, if they have a farm dog and the people selling the house are moving into town, they can't take that dog into town. Like it's used to just the property and it's used to just roaming and doing its own thing. So the house came with a dog, and her name was Daisy. And it was good that happened, because my wife got used to having a dog around and actually liking the dog barking when someone came. And if I was gone for the night, she'd bring the dog in the house and feel safe. And so that was really helpful to her. And so she got used to having a dog, and she decided, okay, I can see myself getting another dog or having her own dog that we chose. And so she actually studied abroad in London for fashion and marketing. And so for a whole year. And so obviously the Queen's Corgis, the Queen has dogs, they're Corgis, and they're Welsh, Wales. And so anyway, she's like, I really want a Corgi. And so we got one like 3 years ago, very small, little ankle biting dog.
Yeah, he seems pretty great. So
he's a turd.
Yeah. Now, what are some of those other companies? So we've got Grit, and then what is the nutrition company called again?
Functional Eating.
Functional Eating. Okay.
Yeah. So the other companies, some of them are in the CrossFit space and some of them are not. Let's talk about the one that's not in the CrossFit space, then we'll get into the CrossFit specific ones. So the one that's not specifically in the CrossFit space is called Takeover. And the idea is I've spent a lot of my time as an influencer in the sport. I don't really like the word influencer, but let's just work with it.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of companies, big companies, small companies, needy companies, not needy companies, strict companies, non-strict ones. And what I've found as an influencer is there doesn't exist a very effective pipeline of delivering content, asking for revisions, and also getting requirements to and back from between an influencer and a company. It's usually across email or across text message or them telling you on the phone. And then I don't have a way of looking back and seeing, hey, specifically what day does that need to be posted? Where is it posted? What does it need to say? What does the metadata look like? What are the requirements? And then from the company's perspective, I usually just post it. And so they don't have an option of saying, oh, can you change that? Can you make that picture bigger? Can you change those colors? Can you, maybe turn our product label out more? And there's no way of getting revisions back and forth. And so I've teamed up with a development company out of Southern Missouri, and then a person in my gym that really helps me out. And we've created essentially it's a very effective pipeline. The idea is Takeover that allows a company to subscribe to the app, pay a monthly subscription, and they create campaigns and they add influencers like myself to those campaigns, and then requirements, times, dates. It API integrates right into Instagram, or API integrates right into later.com or Buffer or Hootsuite, and makes it just a very one-stop shop and simple program for an influencer company relationship. That's pretty much it.
That actually sounds super cool.
Yeah.
And when did you get that one started?
That was my earliest one I've started, or not my earliest, my most recent one. We started development for that in September. It'll launch in February. But we've been working on that since about July.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's the very basic, just influencer. And I think most apps, most ideas, to be honest, come from something with a pain point in your life. I think most people are like, well, how do you come up with these ideas? And it's like, man, have you ever thought there and thought to yourself, man, this is taking me way much longer than I need to. Like, there's got to be a better way of doing this. That's most of my ideas come from that. It's like, man, like I was working with Gillette on Gillette like razors on some work. A lot of CrossFit male athletes actually did it for the games this year. And just the going back and forth with requirements on what they wanted. And they're like, hey, can you change this photo? Can you change this up? I was like, dude, this is a freaking pain in the arse. Yeah. I'm like, there's got to be a better way of doing this. And then I was like, ka-ching, there has to be, and we're going to make it.
There you go. So, nice.
Yeah.
And then last two you mentioned, they are in the CrossFit space?
Yeah. So the most recent one we launched is called Stream. Stream like a streaming service or a river stream, whatever you want to call it. And so the concept kind of started this past February. A lot of us were forced to shut down, my state and your state. And a lot of our affiliate owners were like, oh, crap, we're getting shut down. How do we do fitness classes? And we're like, oh, we can use Zoom. Zoom works great. And don't get me wrong, like Zoom was awesome. And Zoom was a great Band-Aid solution for the fact that I needed to get video content to my constituents, my clients, because I still wanted to get paid and stay open. And there wanted to exist a community there. And it worked great, don't get me wrong. But the more we used it, the more we realized there's got to be a better way of doing this. Like Zoom is a teleconferencing tool built for what we're doing right here. Right. It's not built for me watching your snatch or putting a timer on the screen or whatever the case may be. And so I was approached. I'd actually come up with an idea. I was like, man, someone needs to remake Zoom. Someone needs to take Zoom, and make it for the fitness space. And I had thought about that in early February. And then I was actually, someone slid in my DMs I respond to all my DMs. This is one of my goals in 2019, and I've carried over from years, is someone said, hey, I want to jump on a call and pitch you a business idea. And so I was like, okay. So I jumped on a Zoom call, and he pitched me the exact idea I'd mentioned a couple weeks before to my wife, like, someone needs to do this. And so when he pitched that to me, I was just full in. I was like, I've already thought of this. Yes, I want to do this with you. The team already had a developer and a marketer, and they needed probably someone that had been in the space, that could speak to the space, and also essentially was their marketing tool. And so there was 3 of us at the time, and then we also pulled in Scott Panchik, who's a good friend of mine. I got tired of losing. Yeah, I've got tired of losing to him year in and year out at the games. I decided, let's team up, let's become friends. But so that's kind of how it started. We spent March and April talking to affiliate owners all over the world and asking them, hey, what are your ideas? Like, what do you like about Zoom? What do you not like about Zoom? Like, if you could add anything, what would it be? You know, we got good ideas, bad ideas, crappy ideas, really expensive ideas, cheap ideas. And then we coalesced that and combined that. And that was pretty much the birth of Stream right there. And so we launched the web browser version like last week. The purpose of that was we weren't actually going to launch till February of 2021 with an app and also web browser capability. But we quickly realized the web browser works great. It works perfectly fine. And people are going back to Zoom, and people are going back into shutdowns now. Yeah. Now, most people say, okay, well, are you just creating an app that is only going to function well in a pandemic? And that's a fair question. But I think what we're realizing is people have spent so much time at home that they're realizing that they don't have to go to the gym. Now, that could be bad for affiliate owners, but that's why we've created this, is because people are realizing, man, I've got stuff at my home gym. It's easier for me with 3 kids to stay home and work out. Or you know what? Maybe I'm never going to feel comfortable going back to the gym because my immune system is compromised, or whatever the case may be. I think even if COVID was cured tomorrow, we're still going to see people who would prefer to stay at home and work out. And that's fine. And I think that's why the value of Stream exists past the pandemic era.
So this is actually something super cool. So I'll kind of explain to you why I'm excited about hearing about this. So I work at a YMCA, right? As a personal trainer. Obviously all the gyms are closed down, and we're trying to integrate Zoom for a little bit of online personal training, but it's very clunky. You know what I mean? Like, I've got to run back up to the phone and say, okay, can you hear that? Do you need me to? So I guess what is different about Stream as far as the interface or things like that? Yeah,
absolutely. So I'll switch it back. I'm going to podcast interview you now, Archie.
Ooh, okay.
If you're using Zoom, and you're using it now because I've been there, done that. What are some things you thought, man, this sucks. I would love if ... What do you got?
I would love if I wouldn't have to keep running back and forth.
Okay.
So sort of like a microphone. I would love to maybe have text of the workouts, so I'm not having to repeat it, sets, reps, all that kind of stuff. And then just some sort of way to, I guess, keep up with the person, you know what I mean? So that's what I got. What do you think?
Okay. So first pain point you mentioned, number one, I totally recommend AirPods, whether you're using Zoom or our program. We use them all the time because it allows me to, go back and forth. And for those of you that you're not, obviously people aren't watching this, so never mind, I look stupid now. But anyways, allows you to approach it and walk away within 20 feet. Yeah. So that's the one thing you can actually look into. Number two, on the screen, absolutely. That was one of the huge pain points people have, and I'll get into that. Number three, the ability to create as close to a community is what you're getting at. And let me clarify, as Stream, we will never create an in-house community. We will try and get as close as we possibly can, but there's no way I can recreate us all showing up into a gym, talking trash on each other and doing Fran next to each other. It's just not going to happen. But we can get as close as we possibly can. So the integration, the functionality, and feature set we've created for Stream is exactly what you mentioned, and then oodles more. The one big thing we heard was pain points was, you're right. I want the workout on screen. And so as an athlete and a coach on the side, you click a button, it'll open up, show you the workout, the warm up, the workout, the cool down, everything. The coach creates the class before. It makes it very easy. Another thing is coaches are like, and YMCA may be a little bit different from PT, but it might be like, hey, we're doing a timed portion. Let's say, I won't compare it to CrossFit. Let's look at it from a perspective of a PT. Hey, we're going to spend the next 10 minutes, 5 minutes doing a Z1 pace on an air assault bike or a bike or to make you warm up for your PT session. Well, why can't, on your warm up area that the athlete sees, 5 minute, there is a button there that says start timer. You click it. You've already created the class separately out of this program. Timer on the very bottom says 5 minutes, and the athlete can see it. You can see it. We have a timer available on screen that you can create. There's Tabatas, AMRAPs, count up, count down, as robust as an app, or as robust as a timer as you possibly need.
Wow.
The next thing people say is, okay, well, and you're coaching one-on-one, so it might be a little bit different, but let's take it from perspective of coaching a class.
Okay.
Let's say, as a coach, you say something, hey, Johnny, squat a little deeper. And you're talking to one person in class, but everyone thinks you're talking to them because they can't hear you very well. And they all stop their work and say, hey, what'd you say? And that's just annoying.
Yeah.
And so you have the ability to speak, not only chat verbally or chat with someone. Zoom already has that. There's nothing new. Chat with them privately, chat with the group via text on the app. But also we're allowing you to do a one-on-one feature for verbal communication that we're calling chirp. And what that allows you to do is say, let's say we have a class of 5 people. I'm leading it. There's always someone in that class that maybe doesn't like to be called out verbally for their squats because maybe they're a very soft person or very introverted, and they always close off because of it. We always have those people in class. So why can't I be able to say, hey Archie, can you squat a little lower for me? It looks great other than that, but I need you to squat a little lower for me. And I can send it directly to you and instead of everyone in the class. And you can do that between coach to every athlete and athlete to any athlete. So I can talk trash and be like, hey, me and Archie are taking a class. The class is led by Matt Frazier. I want to talk trash and at you. I can send Archie a verbal message saying, hey, Archie, you suck. I'm going to beat you this workout.
Now, is that real time or?
It is real time, but it's real time, but it's essentially think of like a one-way talk radio.
Okay.
I say it, I speak it, it records it, sends it directly to you. You hear it, but you can't talk back unless you respond back.
Okay.
Because you're right. There's no way of actually doing that around the actual microphone. We tried.
Yeah.
It was not going to work. And then the feature sets continue. We're talking like Spotify premium plugin. You can listen to your own Spotify and your own music. When the coach talks, your Spotify and everyone else talking hushes, so the coach's audio takes priority over everything else. Very similar to like a map feature. If you're driving on a road trip and you're listening to Spotify and the map says turn left 200 feet, right, everything else hushes because of it. Yeah. Very and then cool. The feature set just continues and continues, but that's kind of the basics of it.
Wow, that's cool. So I've been thinking about trying to do some like class, like some Zoom class sort of things. And one thing I was thinking about is everyone's not super punctual, right? So you got some people who might hop in a little later. Hey, what are we doing? What's the warm up? So like having the full workout on the screen.
Huge.
Yeah. And when you say you're launching this?
It's already launched. So the web browser already exists.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can go and I've got links all over my Instagram, but you can essentially type in Stream Fitness and it'll pop up, whether our regular website. You can actually go in there. It's free till February to go in there. There's really 2 separate people using this app. It's the people creating classes, whether they're affiliate owners or people like yourself who just want to start classes, have people join. And those people just are joining classes, athletes. And so really the main reason behind this was we wanted to present coaches the option of making money. And so you have the option as a coach to go in there, create a channel, very similar to a YouTube channel, and then create classes, and you can put what the class costs. It could cost $1 to join or nothing or whatever the case may be. And then you can create your own, you essentially brand yourself and create your own class. People can pay to join your classes or if it's free, they don't have to. And it's allowing the coach or the affiliate owner to make money because like we know for Zoom, you're just sharing a private link and, there's no way of tracking it. And then, from there, the usages are infinite. I know for functional eating, I mentioned I'm integrating all my companies together at some point because they all match at some point, is we're going to be running nutrition seminars on there. So it's easy for me to say, hey, Archie, if you wanted to visit our nutrition seminar about carb cycling, it's going to cost $5. You go in there, sign up for the class, nutrition seminar, and then when it starts, you get added. Zoom can't do that. We got to take care of that. We have to create like a website integration that allows you to have a link, and then you can share the link, and then I have to check, did this person pay for this class? We do it all in one place and stream.
Yeah, really streamline it.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That's a good one. Right now, you can tell I'm kinesthetic. People who are watching, I'm spitting like random things in my hand. I have to always have stuff in my hand at all times. It's weird.
Me too. I was an art major, so like you know what I mean. I always have to be. I'm under the table like this.
Yeah. Well, tell you what. Why don't you? Now we're taking it to the next step. Like, why don't you? YMCA is trying to use Zoom. Connect me with someone, and I'd love to give someone in the YMCA a demo.
Yeah.
And show them what we have, because I mean, it makes sense for people. You know, if I made a company that only functioned well in CrossFit, I'm pigeonholing myself. That I suck. Like I need to make an option for people that exists outside of just my sphere and exists everywhere.
Yeah, I'll absolutely do that. I'll get you connected to someone. Another thing. So one company left.
One company. So the other company that we've created that we'll be launching in January is essentially a program delivery service company that is built for the one-to-many and one-to-one coach. So and what I mean by that is, I'll give some examples. There are a lot of examples of great companies out there. True Coach, SugarWOD, Wodify, Tribe, Trainerize, you know, all these companies that exist that you probably get your programming off of. And so how that works is a company like Grit essentially pays a company like SugarWOD to deliver programming to the people that sign up for my programming. But what I found is when I was searching for a program for Grit, when I first started, was there wasn't a super great fit for me out there for a one-to-many coach, meaning I program one time and it goes to many constituents. And I found that a lot of companies out there weren't really focused on the coach. They didn't really care about my retention, the retention of me retaining my athletes. They cared about them retaining the coaches on their app. They didn't care about me making money. They just cared about me not leaving their app, because they wanted to make it as sticky as possible. That way I don't leave because it's too difficult, but they don't care about me being sticky. And that frustrated me. It frustrated me that I couldn't find a good fit for myself. I couldn't find a company that cared less about them and cared more about me, because I'm the one that's essentially bringing the money. You know, no one else is. The coaches are. And so I actually found an app that I actually liked. It was a relatively unknown app out there. It's called Box Score Fitness. And I really liked the owner, and he had the same drive and just characteristics that I really liked. And I kind of approached him one day. I had Grit on there for like a month or so. And I said, hey man, like, I like your app. Obviously it's good. You know, it's not everything I need. I could see some other things I need. I said, but what if we partner up and create something that's built for the coach? It's built for actually taking the focus less off of me and the company owner, the app owner, and more on the actual coach who's programming. And we really liked it. We really liked the mindset shift there, which I think needs to happen. And so we pulled in another partner. Our other partner in the company, his name is Jim Crowell. He's actually the past CEO of OPEX. He ran OPEX for many, many years. Very intelligent, super business savvy. And we pulled him in because we realized that we needed someone to fit that niche we had. And so the big thing we're focusing on, one big thing that we're allowing people to do that doesn't exist in the CrossFit space yet, is we're allowing coaches to white label apps. And what that means is, I think gone are the days where, as a coach, let's say I have Grit, gone are the days where I say, hey, Arch, you signed up for Grit programming. I need you to go download this app. You know, it could be SugarWOD, for instance. Why don't you go download the SugarWOD app? And then once you sign up, you'll sign up under Grit and pay me for my programming. And then every time you want to see your program, you open the SugarWOD app. And that's awesome. Don't get me wrong. That's been a great way to get programming out there. And I've used companies like that for years. But again, why are we so focused on the name of the company, of the program delivery service? Why are we not focused on my company? Why is the coach not getting the recognition? So instead of downloading the program delivery service app like True Coach or SugarWOD or whatever, why don't you go download the Grit Performance app? So why don't you just download my app that's white labeled? So the app exists, we create it in the company, and then we change the app to meet your logo, your color screens, what you want, and it looks like yours.
That's
so you don't
cool.
know. Yeah, you don't know that the app is created by somebody else. I mean, some people might actually think, let's say, Archie, you've got a PT company. I know that YMCA hires you to be a PT, but let's say you got Body by Archie, right?
Yeah.
The BA, Body by Archie. And so jacked. And let's say you could say, hey, why don't you go download the Body by Archie app? It's on the App Store. It's there. You've got your logo, your picture there, your description on the App Store. It's free to download. And, once they sign up, they open the app up, they can sign up for your programming right there in the app. And they don't even know that I created the app because I don't care about my name. I care about your retention. And so the more you can brand yourself as a coach, and people are going to be like, dude, Archie's got his own app. That's freaking sick. And it makes you feel better. Yeah. So instead of going off and downloading someone else's app they created, we still created it, but I want it to look like you created it. Yeah. And that's the whole switch that we're trying to make. Man.
So this sounds like a lot of good stuff, man. I'm sure it's been a really exciting year for you then.
Yeah, it's been really cool. Really excited. I think 2021 has been a really cool year. Obviously disappointing in some aspects, but we made a lot of really good decisions, and I'm really excited to see how it pans out in 2021. I think, you look at all of these and you try to someone will usually ask you, what's your favorite child? What's your favorite baby? And honestly, what I like about all these is they all work well separately, but they all work well together. Yeah. And I'm really excited to see how 2021 pans out and how they all start to coalesce and work together, and how I can really pitch it to people that need it. How I can pitch. I mean, think about it. Think of we've got people on stream from all over the world. We've got people out of, Ethiopia that are having classes. How cool is that to be able to attend a class from, Czech Republic or somewhere over in the middle of nowhere, and join a class. It's not just for the people like Ben Bergeron to run a live class. It's for the people that want to just coach people, have a passion for it, that are from somewhere in the middle of nowhere that can help them get their names out. So I'm just excited to see the people that these apps have been created for, the target audience is finding them and realizing, wow, this really helps my passion out, and seeing them take that, pick that up, and just run with it. And that's what I'm excited to see.
All right. And then what I'll do here is, if you get me all those links, I'll just make sure to put everything drop it at the bottom of the video here, so everyone can go check everything out, as far as everything that's up and running already.
Yeah, absolutely.
One last thing for you. So I know you're a Star Wars fan, and obviously, since, as a thank you for coming on to my podcast, for free, right? You take an hour out of your time. Time is money. I made some art for you. I know Grand Admiral Thrawn is your favorite. Yes! So I made this for you.
Okay. Get my address. So I actually have, this is going to make you laugh. You're going to make you feel bad for a second, but it's also going to make us laugh. I had, Stream, the company I work with, one of the kids painted the Mandalorian, and then painted the red stormtrooper, and they mailed it to me. It's not come in the mail yet because we got a new house now, and I was like, hey, send that to me. I'll put that on my fridge. So I'm saying the same thing to you, Archie, that I said to the 8-year-old. You send that to me, I'm freaking mounting that on my fridge. My wife's gonna be so pissed.
All right. Hey, sounds good to me. Jake, thanks so much for speaking with me. I'll get that to you. We'll get our links down. I hope you have a good rest of your day, man.
Yeah, thanks so much, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye.
Peace.
All right, guys, that was my meeting with Jacob Heppner. Funniest guy in CrossFit, apparently the smartest guy in CrossFit too. If you want to check out any of kind of the companies that he's starting, I'm going to leave all the links down here below. Make sure to check them out. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.